Welcome to After Dusk with Don Piercy, where we're not afraid to talk about things that go bump in the night, with special guest co-hosts and so much more. We're bringing you the facts versus fiction and the history of it all. Remember, it's always darkest before dawn. Tune in every Wednesday at 10:30 and get your bite. We're picking up where we left off on After Dusk with Don Piercy with a continuation from last week. Get your bite on.
If you have to look at it is that historically, how do I put this? Mankind just wasn't that bright. So we thought that at 50,000 years ago, 12,000 years ago, we identified an event or a thing that happens in our lives and gave it a face to help reason and combat it and maybe help appease it from happening further. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It wasn't really until Judaism and Christianity that kind of God, like just one God, kind of really took hold, and even the early Jews had a pantheon of gods. There wasn't a lot, it was a few of them that they had some different meaning, for farming and for like the things involved in their lives. But like it really wasn't until kind of the advent of Judaism and Christianity, and of course later Islam, Hinduism, which is more of a collective of principles, and Buddhism are more of a collective of principles. Mm-hmm. But they still focus on one divine being versus
right. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter what religion you are. There's one main source, period, and it's been that same source throughout time. But people have called it all sorts of different names. But the fact remains is that the source is still the source, and our history is still history.
Right.
And what it is.
Right. And maybe that the source came to mankind in many forms.
That's what I'm saying, because throughout time, through the different religions that I've studied, when I was working on my PhD, I learned that there were many different ancient religions that there was like a Messiah born of a virgin, and it was always the same time of the year. And it doesn't matter if it was what time I mean, way predate Christianity, way predate, this and that. It's just there's always a figure that is born to come and save the people of that nation, of that race.
Right. And I was going to get into this a little later, but kind of on that topic, like, so that is the first core attribute of a God, was born of a virgin. So that God was born of a virgin, and born a virgin, which LOL.
I would hope so. I'm just saying.
I know. I was getting it on in my mother's womb because there was a lot of other girl babies around, but that's me. That's me. That maybe these other gods just weren't so fortunate. But anyways, so that's the number one. Born of a virgin. Okay. Hails most, if not all, the gods are claimed either from the god or by the worshipers to hail from a star in the east.
Really? Okay, so there's always a star in the east too.
Always a star in the east. Most of the gods. Okay. Like 90% of them, right? Okay. Supreme wisdom and knowledge, often God does not share it. So obviously being supreme, right? Okay. Surviving death, supreme. Resurrection and immortality. Like people who say they've seen the god die, and like historically, like in Norse mythos, right? Gods can die, but they come back. Give them a couple hours.
Immortality.
Immortality. Yes. Performs miracles. Most gods, that's another core common attribute, is they perform miracles. usually are invisible or more spirit-like, and not always come in like corporeal form,
Okay.
right? Blinding light, and this gets into the alien factor or cross-dimensional travel.
Anything that's out of this world is extraterrestrial. So that means that everybody's praying to aliens, period.
Yes, they come in a blinding light, leave in a blinding light. Yes.
Everybody's praying to aliens.
Most gods are pretty ambivalent to humankind. They don't really care. They're like, yeah, whatever. It's not my problem, right? Manipulative, as we know, especially the Greek gods. Oh God, weren't they awful?
Mischievous.
I sometimes think I have more a kinship to Greek gods in my life than I do my Norse gods. Although the ambivalence part is definitely Tyr, Odin, Freya. I mean, come on, guys, cut me some slack here. Right? Although I gotta say, Freya's been good to me lately.
Well, you also have Valhalla, and you've got the Valkyries, and you've got dragon slayers.
Yeah. Yep. Well, Valhalla is heaven. That's Valhalla is the heaven, and then that's where you go to await Ragnarok, which is one of these days I hope I get to be there for Ragnarok. That's as a true Viking, we all want to be at Ragnarok.
What's your take on the Ouroboros, Brian?
Well,
talking about gods and goddesses, that has something to do with it.
Well, that of course, as the Vikings, the Danes, the Finns, the Swedes, they all,
it actually started in Egypt. Right? Did you know that?
Huh?
It started in Egypt.
Well, because I think so if you want to talk about as a phenomenon, that's just this solar light, the solar flares from the sun reflecting off the Earth's curvature and off of the atmosphere there, right? So if you look back to, let's see, Egypt is 3,000 plus years ago, right? There very well may have been, as we all know, we're losing atmosphere, right? We're losing, so it may very well have been a time when the sun was expelling more energy, so the Aurora Borealis could be seen farther.
No, not the Aurora Borealis, the Ouroboros.
What is that?
It's where the dragon's eating its own tail.
Okay.
And a lot of the ancient gods and goddesses, it started in Egypt, but Cleopatra had one. Like it was always depicted sometimes in the pictures of the gods and goddesses, and you would see this circle, and it looked like a serpent eating its own tail. That's the Ouroboros. Ragnarok, that's also depicts the Ouroboros. It's the serpent that goes around the earth. Like when you see pictures of the tree of life, and it's sprouting up, especially in the Norse, and then it's got the flat earth where it looks like the flat earth, and the tree of life is holding up the land. The Ouroboros is the circle around it. It may look like a circle, but actually it's a serpent, or the dragon eating its own tail.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with the term, but I know the image.
Yeah, it has to do with kind of like the phoenix, where it rises from its ashes. But what it does is it self-destructs and over and over and over, which goes to the life, the birth, and which go and the start of of course Mother Earth, and where the earth goddesses come from.
I'm more of a Buddhist than I am anything.
Right, I'm just me. I'm I have
I'm a Christian.
Right, I have my own personal connection with God.
And there's nothing wrong with it.
But I choose for myself. I choose to pray in the name of Thy Son, Jesus Christ, and not everybody does. And that's their thing, and I have my thing. But anyways, getting back, and they say that the gods and goddesses, some takes on it are that they are of the earth, or that they're the keepers of the earth, or the guardians of the earth. you've got 12 gatekeepers, okay? Well, and a
Right.
lot of times, like, there's 12 planets, and they say, okay, well, 12 planets, guess what the planets are named after? The planets are named after the gods, like what I was talking about earlier. Venus,
Right.
Neptune, Mars, Pluto, you've
Right.
got and the perfect alignment and everything numerical. Well, then, it's like I my own personal take on what I believe gods and goddesses are is that they're half angel, and that's why they have special abilities, and that's why a lot of them were giants, because they were really
Right.
Nephilim, and they were
Right.
still, walked the earth and kings and queens, and that's it. That's my take on it. So I think, people over time, they see, oh, well, they have, special abilities, and they would pray to them, and they would allow their gifts to come true. And of course, you have to think of it, if you're on the mischievous side and you're like, I'm gonna
Right.
have them pray to me, and then, and only then, if I choose, I
Right.
may give them what they want.
Well, I mean, yeah, and so yeah, and so like, well, and see, and that's exactly, but see, that's exactly what a god is, right? In the human perspective, is a being far superior to our own. If I went back to Cro-Magnon time, right,
Mm-hmm.
with a gun and my basic backpack, right, I got a lot. I got saw. I can start fire. I can do right, and I have a, a wealth of skill sets that are far superior to anything that they had, okay, at that time, right? I actually know how the basics of casting metal. If I can find copper in the ground, I can actually build I can do all that. I can make clay
Mm-hmm.
pottery. I can do stuff that a lot of them couldn't. So I'm a god. I show up to a clan. The chief's like, throws a spear at me. You're not going to be the leader here. Pull out a gun. Bam, blow his brains out. Well, shit, I'm God. A flash of blinding light, and then this dude is dead, right? And then I'm sitting here like, no, 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 no. You don't collect fire. You make fire. Let me show you how. How, right? Oh, and by the way, neat trick, lighter. You know what I mean? So it's very possible that in some cases that through man's, especially earlier evolution, 12,000 years ago, especially when the gods really kind of formed, took creations in mankind's mind, that there were beings like were born, like Jesus Christ, or like, like there was so many born that just knew more than everyone else. And so you would become a god. Hey, my name is Tyr. What's up, guys? I'm Tyr. By the way, I can do this, I can do that. Oh, and on the battlefield, I just slew 100 people today. You know what I mean? So now I'm a god, right? Right? to those people. And then, of course, as we all know through song and story, right, it gets carried on and elaborated, because everybody, no matter how badass you are, everyone that like adulates you makes you even way cooler. Oh, he slayed 1,000 people today. Oh, he bedded 100 women today. Oh, he made a star fall from the sky. You know what I mean? And over as life,
Thanks for tuning in to After Dusk with Dawn Piercy. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you enjoyed it, like, share, subscribe, and tune in next Wednesday for the next part in our web series at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you feel fit to buy me a cup of coffee once a month for bringing you this series, you can do so at our Anchor.fm platform under a new podcast. Until next time, keep it real.